Portugal, there's a YouTube show full of fun facts you need to know. Carl rings the bell and the members show to the GMP morning show. Featured guests will come and they will blow your mind. The audience will do so in kind. The little vanity mixed with some insanity on the morning show with GMP. Hey, Gumpers.
Now, it definitely helps to take the image off the screen that you put up at the start of the show, expecting to see your own face, and then you see Louise's face, which actually for many people would be far more preferable. Morning, Louise. Morning, Louisa, who's taking a little bit of a lie-in this morning. We had Frank here. Oh, my goodness. The tour de force, the force of human nature that is Frank, Uncle Frank, is back on a coach headed for Lisbon. I think he might even be there by now. Yes, he could be just arriving in Lisbon. Amazing to see you, Frank. Thank you for joining us on the show on Friday. Fantastic fun. And what a weekend with you as well. Watching football, having one or two drinks, hanging out with the kids, meeting friends. It's really nice to be sat here for a moment and catch up a little bit, have a little bit of peace this morning. Not a great deal, packed show for you this morning. I hope you're well. How was your weekend? Do let us know in the comments if you will. But we had a very busy one. And like I say, it's nice to be here, having a little bit of a sit down for a moment and a breather. So thank you for joining us here on the Good Morning Portugal show, where we say Bom dia, alegria. Munson here with the Good Morning Portugal show live stream and podcast. Tudo bem? Como estás? So let us know how you are. Let us know what sort of weekend you've had in the comments, if you will. And a packed show to come this morning. We've got a dash of Bob and Viv, those legends up in the north of Portugal, the Colorado people who've settled in the north of Portugal, YouTube sensations. And who doesn't like a YouTube sensation first thing in the morning on the Good Morning Portugal show? And of course, well, not of course, because you don't know about this yet, but we're looking forward to finding out more about a wonderful idea for learning Portuguese as well. And that will be in the company of Helen Barlow, who has started something called Language Nomads. Or if you want to find out a little bit more while you're tuned in this morning, the Language Nomads. Let me just put that link into the chat right now. The Language Nomads, co-living and language learning experiences. You get the gist of what that might be like, do you not, from that description? But here's a comment coming into the chat right now, so you can look it up for yourself and then ask Helen questions later on in the show. So, of course, the Slug joins us as well. He's already here in the chat. Good morning to you, James. He is the Fraser of the Good Morning Portugal show. He'll be listening. He'll be listening from about 9 o'clock this morning. And what's going on here? Got some funny hieroglyphics from various people. Heading Wouji from Francis. Well, good morning to you, Francis. Looks like you've had an interesting weekend, mate. James with us from 9, of course, or maybe a little bit before with a bit of mindful migration. Bob and Viv joining us, a splash of Bob and Viv, and Helen Barlow talking about being a Portuguese language learning nomad, a different environment in which to learn Portuguese intensively and in the company of others doing so. Good morning to you, Stephen. Good morning to you, Nom de Plume. Lord Gilchrist is here as well, as is Francis. Well, I think he's just adjusting his keyboard or something this morning, maybe hoovering out the crumbs from the keyboard. That needs doing every now and then, doesn't it, to see what's growing inside the keyboard. T-Duck, of course. How you doing, Mr. Duck? Senor Pato, I hope you're well, and thank you very much for your contributions this morning, starting off with a Bon Dia Alegria at 7:56 this morning, and Coach Turner with the God Squad tip of the day. Actually, you know what, Coach Turner? I do feel like I need a bit of your God Squaddery this morning after a rather... It wasn't exactly debauched, but it was kind of non-stop, quietly drinking in the background. Definitely with the emphasis on the Bon Viveurs. But we did go for a walk. We went for several walks along the beach. So pretty good balance. But I do feel like I'm in need of hydration and a little bit of maybe a siesta later on today. But there's no peace for the wicked. There's no time to stop or rest because we've got a packed week as well. I'll tell you more about the week as it unfolds. Of course, the gardening Q&A tonight. many other treats and delights for you to come this week, including a bit of a sing-song on Wednesday with Emma Belter, who I'm looking forward to reintroducing to you. So early start this morning to go child wrangling, says Coach Turner. So we'll have to catch up later. Have a fantastic day. Well, that's lovely. Thank you, Ian. But you do leave us, you leave us a lovely God Squad tip of the day while you go off to look after your grandkids. Very considerate of you. Lying on your back. We're still beetling here on the Good Morning Portugal show with the God Squad tip of the day. Bend your knees, bend your knees, and put your feet flat on the ground. Okay, so far so good. I can do that. And now lift your hips until your shoulders, hips, and knees are in a straight line, and then sing head, shoulders, knees, and toes. Now, he's not saying that if you're listening on the podcast. Let me start that again. Lie on your back, bend your knees, and put your feet flat on the ground. Now lift your hips until your shoulders, hips, and knees are in a straight line. Okay, visualizing that. Hold for 10 seconds and repeat. It's an upward thrust, I think. Who doesn't like an upward thrust first thing in the morning? Thank you for that, Coach Turner. Go steady with that, everybody. Take it easy. Don't overdo it. As baby steps towards the intention of being fit and well throughout your retirement and old age there. Hold that intention in mind. It accounts for quite a lot, I think, and banish those negative doom-laden thoughts. Keep in mind the picture of how you want. This is not Coach Turner. This is me just riffing on the theme. But keep in mind how you want your old age and retirement to be, and don't accept too many of those cliches of old age never comes alone. You know, I think to a great extent, design it how you want to be. Aim high. Aim high for sure, and keep tuned in for a God Squad tip of the day. Thank you so much, Ian, for those. Really appreciate it, and yeah, I think I will be yes, looking for balance. I think is what's happening after a post Frank weekend. Okay, deep thought of the day then from T Duck, and what we'll do is we will chill out in just a moment. We've got a lovely couple of things to include from Diane Bleach, Pete's missus. From over there, Fundal Way, and that lovely soup festival. I think we have a closing musical performance, a little bit of brass band, I think, to share with you, and a wonderful rainbow that I don't think I brought to you that Diane very kindly sent in to us. But let's check out a few thoughts and messages that are incoming into the chat. Deep thought from Mary Kay today. Oh, this is interesting. Mary Kay, the American businesswoman and founder of Mary Kay Cosmetics. Deep thought then from her. An average person with average talents and ambition and average education can outstrip the most brilliant genius in our society if that person has clear, focused goals. Now, I didn't know that was coming up, but it does chime rather, doesn't it, with what I was saying about having an intention for retirement and old age. Certainly plan it the way you want it, and see what happens. There's no point settling for anything less than the best or the highest of intentions, is there? I think that's how life works, actually. So, yes, shake off the programming and conditioning and those negative thoughts and see what happens. Mary Kay seems to agree with me this morning. Thank you for that. T-Duck, a Portuguese saying of the day, quem canta seus males espanta, who sings scares away his woes. Yes, that's a great idea. Thank you very much for that, T-Duck. So who sings scares away his woes? I might share that with Helen later on when she's talking about learning Portuguese in a co-living, nomadic kind of way. And a Hugo Nuno to start the day, to start the week. Who knew then Hugo Nuno for centuries? The Algarve was the name of the entire country. I didn't know that. It was a name for the entire country when the Moors occupied Portugal, and it literally means the West. Yes, okay. So the west of Europe, of course, as they were making their way up northwards as well. The Algarve, then, the west. I didn't know that. So does Garvo mean Westerner, I wonder? Dad jokes we will come back to. We'll share those with James, I think, later on, and maybe Bob and Viv as well. Thank you very much, T-Duck, for those. And first comments from James this morning. What's his name this week? Slug Thug, put it on a mug. Bon dia, Gumpers. That's a nice merch idea. Thank you, James. Bon dia, Gumpers. Feliz segunda a todos. Como foi os vossos fins de semana? And now, as I read that, I realize I am not prepared to have a Portuguese conversation with him. Best intentions, which I will uphold and do my best when I see his wonderful face on the screen. Cue this from him then as well. For small creatures such as we, the vastness is bearable only through love. Oh, that's beautiful as well this morning. For small creatures such as we. And when I got up at 6 o'clock this morning to get Frank on the coach, €8 from San Martino de Porto to Lisbon, Sete Rios. Isn't that amazing? And I think €10 from Lisbon back down to the Algarve. Incredible. All bookable on his app. just showed his phone to the driver. Beautiful, brand new coach. Really great way to travel. Don't be put off traveling by bus or coach in Portugal if you've got bad memories from your own country of origin in the United States, Greyhound buses and all that. It's fantastic and great value, as you've just heard, using the coaches in Portugal. But getting up at 6, I did feel like a small creature, alone in the world, first thing in the morning. It's a beautiful time of day, but it's very interesting for perspective, isn't it? Being up and alone in what feels like the middle of the night. And when you feel like a small creature like that, the vastness is bearable through love, says Carl Sagan. Fantastic. Thank you for that, James. And Yogi Berra quote of the day: pitching always beats batting, and vice versa. Very good. And I'm realizing that as I get older. And that's a pretty good Zen type conundrum for you there, isn't it? Riddle. But it's true, isn't it? There's always another side to everything, and vice versa. Francis is in. Bon dia, alegria a todos. Feliz semana novo. Very nice. A happy new week to everybody. That's how we roll here on Happy Monday. Portugal, hashtag that, everybody. And bon dia from Stephen as well. And bon dia, alegria. Bless you at 2:30 in the morning. Talking about being up early. That's insane. Well, are you up late or up early? Nom de plume there. Lord Gilchrist, how you doing with your man cave style greeting? I was the man cave on Friday, and I still don't really know what heading Ouija means, and then a bracket, an end bracket, and nom de plume thinking that maybe Francis is having a bit of a Ouija board session there. I wonder. Okay, heading out around halfway for kids athletics meetup. 32 degrees here, so going to be a toasty one. Dropped my earphones on the keyboard. Well, that's simply explained. Very good. Now we know. Bon dia, sire, from João Mendonça. Very good to have you here, João. How are you, my friend? And Francis, good luck with your kids and the athletics meetup. Hope they scoop a few golds there. And are you taking part as well? Do the dads come in for the 3-legged sack race with egg and spoon and all that sort of thing? I wonder. Send pictures if that's the case. Hola, bon dia, kids, from a crisp morning in Portimao. Very good. If you could get the brass band and the rose petals ready, that would be great to welcome Frank back to Portimao, Victoria. Thank you for being here this morning. And Pete, bon dia, alegria. What a fabulous weekend. Hundreds of people wandering around with boiling hot soup, with every surface bouncing to loud live music. Only in perfect Portugal, the soup festa rocks. And on that note, Nigel is here. Bob and Viv are already here as well. Who else? Antonio F., good morning to you, my friend. Great to have you here. On that note of boiling soup and live music, let's go to Diane's video that she sent in. It sounds like both of you enjoyed that there, Pete. And we'll take a little pause with another video, a couple of videos to play you then, because we've got a packed show. It's going to be very busy from 9 onwards. So I think we're going to take it easy. Well, actually, I'm going to take you on an emotional roller coaster ride. I think a bit of first, and then a quieter, more reflective video. Another one from Andy Klein, moving to Portugal as he is, of course, and documenting his journey on YouTube as our expat journey. Another installment from Andy Klein after this. And we'll play your wonderful video, your rainbow video as well, Diane. But I think that's a really nice start to the week and the end of the show. But let's go to the Soup Festival for a moment. us. I enjoyed that. Thank you, Diane. That's superb. I thought it was going to come back. I thought it was going to drop again. That is excellent. Thank you very much. If Diane isn't watching this morning, Pete, could you pass on our thanks and the rainbow video? Incredible rainbow over your gaff, I think, there, Pete and Diane as well. At the end of the show to send you on your way on this grand new week and great new day as being bestowed upon us by Bob and Viv, who will be joining us a little bit later on. Monday GMP, it's a grand new week and a great new day. And some of the things they may or may not talk about, depending on where you influence them and take them. A few ideas, though, how people adjust if newly retired upon arrival. So there is a bit of aging and retiring in the air this morning. Too much time together. That's an interesting one, isn't it? What's that like for couples who may have been working all their life together and out of the house a lot, and then in retirement spending a lot of time together? That's an interesting thing to address. New focus like volunteering. We've talked to Pam about that, of course, haven't we? From the Expats Portugal Ask Our Expats team, and we had a great conversation with her about that, and that's really made a big difference to Pam's life here in Portugal. A new focus like volunteering, avoiding things that are old hat or old job related. I guess it's easy to drift into what you know, isn't it? So that's interesting. Never wouldn't have thought about that. Thank you, Bob and Viv, for that. And a classic among new people in Portugal, biting off more project or house or garden than you wanted. So some great topics to talk about there. I'm sure James has a few things on his mind from the previous weeks and previous week, but also I'm sure we'll have one or two things to say about those topics as well. Excellent stuff, Bob and Viv, and of course to come, Helen Barker talking about the language nomads as well. Promised you another video. This will take us up to around 9 a.m. This is Andy Klein's latest. And some of you will remember this stage of getting ready to move, getting down to those last bits and pieces and the moving. It's quite poignant. It's quite melancholic almost. Enjoy this and see if it triggers memories or helps you prepare in some way. Thank you, Andy Klein, very much. Very grateful to you for letting us share these on the Good Morning Portugal show.
Dude, you're part of the show.
Damn it. Uh-oh. Need help, Andy? You want the high end or the low end, Andy?
I'm going to let Wes, the young guy, do that.
Yeah, well, he's getting the low end then.
That's right. That's fine. Whatever end you think is best. But, yeah, you protect your back. I'm protecting my back by filming.
By what? Filming?
By filming, yes.
You're a smart guy.
That's right. So,
It's not, your back's not getting any younger, young man.
it is not. It isn't. So, yeah, let Wes get the weight on.
Did you get all the money out of your loft that you hoped to?
Oh, no, we rent.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
I didn't realize it.
Yeah.
That's probably a good move.
Mm-hmm. Oh, rent in Portugal, too, man.
Sounds like you got a big place over there.
About the same size as this.
Oh, really? I didn't realize this was that big.
Yeah. About 100 square meters.
Really?
Yeah.
Come on up, Wes. All right, Wes, you're getting the low end, and you're backing down the steps.
Okay.
Okay.
No, let's just pick it up.
And let's go high enough where you can walk.
things are starting to look a little bare. My nephew Wesley just came and picked up a bunch of stuff. And so we're getting down to the nubs. The table here, Lola and I have had since our first year of marriage. We bought it in a junk shop. The top doesn't actually match the legs. It's a 30s era piece. This is the one object that I really am going to miss. But it is going to family, so I'm super happy about that.
Yes, please. Definitely subscribe to Andy Klein's channel there. That's just a bit of a poignant one, isn't it? There, the moving down to the nubs of moving when you think, yeah, some of those things. The table they had when they first got married, it's okay, it's great, it's going to family. Yes, but it comes down to those decisions and often the micromanagement of each little decision. Remember doing some of that. So let us know how that was for you. And do please subscribe. Andy Klein, Andy, our expat journey, CLINE. Andy Klein is the name of the YouTube channel. That's how you can find him, CLINE. And the channel is called Our Expat Journey. I think that's episode 17, wasn't it? They're getting down to the nubs. He is a very cool dude. I wonder if that's Andy you're talking to there. And the brass band, apparently, the video you saw before at the Soup Festival, the brass band, they were superb. And who doesn't like a good tromboning first thing in the morning? The brass band played a selection of club classics, as well as from David Guetta and Tommy Villiers. Superb. And that was in case you're wondering if you want to book it in next year or you want to stick it on the Gumper map, that is Eskalosh do Cima. They had one yellow arrow and no signage whatsoever. You just have to arrive and track down the music to Matty. Oh, I see. Matty's asking, morning, Matty. Where was the festa? Joined later and only saw the end of the video. So let's maybe get a few of us to that next year. Looks like a lot of fun. Sarah, so glad to have you back. A bon dia from you and missed y'all. It's so nice to have you back. When you went away, or since we last saw you, the Gumper map was pretty bare, wasn't it? And come back and it's pretty much, not fully populated, but extremely well populated by the likes of Andy. And I think the Bleachers are going to add one or two things there as well. Great job, everybody. Anybody who's put something on the Gumper map, as started by Sarah here, who's back with us. Fantastic. So let's play his theme tune and bring him on, shall we? He's not listening yet, but he will be real soon. That is, of course, the Slug. Stick it on a mug. I'm struggling to find his. Oh, here it is. Here we go. Swing. Bom dia, amigo.
Bom dia, como tens passado?
Muito bom fim de semana, obrigado, com meu amigo Frank, Uncle
Muito
Frank.
bem.
Uncle, what's uncle? Oh dear. Anyway, well, como vão? Tio Frank, tio Francisco. Sim, e como vão as coisas, James?
Muito bem, fabuloso. Matter of fact, I put this in Portuguese. Sou bolo fabuloso.
Pois. Well done. Pau, my friend.
Did I catch you again? I'm just quoting you.
I think we did pretty well there. Go on.
I'm quoting you. I'm practicing Portuguese for saying I'm a fabulous cake.
Ice your cake. It was my advice, wasn't it? And I forgot all about that.
No, your advice was to claim being a fabulous cake.
Yes, yeah.
I am you said this could be your mantra. I am a fabulous cake. So yes. I put that in Portuguese.
Thank you so much. Yes. And for next week, can we have icing? Because I mean, that's the point I was making, is that you are a fabulous cake already. And anything else that happens on top of that is the icing or the cherry on top, isn't it? So I hope you had a few cherries on top as well this weekend, James.
Yes, and the cherry on top is remind me. I had a conversation with Anna when we came down to São Martinho de Porto, and we're talking about the icing on the cake. In English, she says, "What does that mean?" I said, "Well, it's kind of like putting, and I just explained it to her, and she said, "Oh, in Portuguese we say cherry on top of the cake," and I said, "Oh, we have a similar thing in English." And it was cherry on top of now I can't remember, on top of the ice cream or something like that, but it's all the similar concept. And I love the universality of these types of sayings. Like almost every language has something like that represents that concept. It's really fascinating and fun.
Yeah, I think visually when you see a cherry on top of something, and there is probably a Freudian connection, of course, because it looks like a mother's nipple, doesn't it? Of course, or is that just me?
Might just be you. Well, maybe not just you, but you're included in that group.
Sorry, Mum. But yeah, I mean, it's just something really perfect and proud. And I don't even like glacé cherries. I really don't. But just to have that as the crowning glory on top of a cake is
there's a certain ceremony of placing that cherry. It's like
the crowning glory.
It's like, here it is. It's done.
Voila. There you go. And talking of cakes, taking Frank all around the place in São Martinho de Porto, managed to knock a little bit of that Algarvian arrogance. You know what I'm talking about? People who think they live in, God's own part of the country down there, don't they?
Yeah, well, I'm American after all.
Oh,
what
do you mean?
We know that. I know that way of thinking.
Oh, okay.
We are the greatest. Yeah.
And he's Canadian. It must have that neighborly thing must have rubbed off on him a bit, which is something we didn't do this weekend. Yeah, well, it took him all around São Martinho de Porto. We had the classic São Martinho de Porto thing where he arrives basically in the supermarket car park on the coach opposite the school, and you're thinking to yourself, well, this isn't up to much. And I think what was going through his mind was, yeah, I've definitely made the right decision living in the Algarve. But then I revealed to him, this idea that I share sometimes of the mysterious maiden of Portugal revealing herself slowly to you as you respectfully ask questions and ask to be led to understand more. And that's what happened. São Martinho won him over. São Martinho de Porto won him over this weekend. And one of the highlights was going to the market on Saturday, buying some fresh produce that we were going to cook later in the day. Found a lovely apple cake. That was something I hadn't had before in Portugal. Lovely slices of apple kind of folded into a sponge cake, which was a really nice thing to have on Saturday. And that, it's just lovely after even all of these years here. 5 going into 6, to find a new treat, a new treasure is wonderful. And I suspect people will be doing that for many decades as well. And the seasonality, that lovely seasonality, it's apple time, and there was an apple cake in the cafe. So that was lovely to see. How about you and your weekend? And what have you been thinking in this past week, my friend?
Eu estava no Porto.
Oh, yeah.
No fim de semana. Sorry, no, I need a.
Got a bit of tripe. Have you got a bit of tripe stuck in your throat?
Excuse me for that.
Yes.
And I don't have. I do have water with me, but it's pretending to be my microphone. I'm listening.
Yes, very good. One of those CIA microphones. Okay.
Good morning, caller. I'm listening.
So you've been to Porto.
Yes, I got
that, James.
Got to see my Hanny and Conch.
How is the Hanny and the Conch?
Oh, they were great. I love spending time with them. And this time around, they had a chance to show me around, and they were very excited to do that. And I was happy to participate. I had lunch with a couple other people on Saturday, and it was, really great weekend.
Not your first visit to Porto, though, right?
No,
do you need to come back in a minute?
No, I just need to cough this.
All right, you're muted. You can have a good old... Watch him cough now. There we go. Enjoy. That's grisly.
Is my face a little red?
Yes. What's that on the screen? Okay. Is that better now?
Yes. So I managed to bring the sunshine with me for the 2 days I was there. And then I managed to keep the rain just behind me all the way back home. About 20 minutes after I arrived, it started raining. So it was perfect.
Yeah.
I didn't have to get wet. It was beautiful weather to be out in and walking around. My appreciation for the Lisboa metro was increased by the introduction to the Porto metro, which I'm sure is understandable once you get to know it, but it seemed very much more confusing to me. Sorry.
I just spat some water. You got me.
Time for you to wipe off your screen.
Yes, I don't know what damage that's caused. I don't know why that tickled me so much. It's like, I'm sure it's fine once you get. That's a really sort of damned by faint praise kind of comment there, isn't it? So I think you prefer the Lisbon metro currently.
Well, it's the Lisboa metro is very similar to the Bay Area Rapid Transit in the East Bay of the San Francisco area. It's virtually identical ways of showing you where you're going on the map. So it was much easier. I was already somewhat familiar. I've been on it a few times, so I have to give it that I'm more familiar with it. But the Porto lines just seemed overly complex to me. It's like there's got to be an easier way. You go to this zone and this zone, then you need one trip. But if you go out of that zone, but you can stay there for an hour. But then if you get back on here and you go here, then you need another trip. So you have to get so many trips or pay them one at a time. It's like, wow, And I've simplified my public transportation in the Lisboa area by having a monthly pass. So anytime I go in a gate, just hit the pass. It's easy, and they have that on their phones. So it's the same for them there. It's just as a visitor, it's a very different structure. So fortunately, Connie, both Connie and Hank, but Connie in the morning because we know Hank is a sleeping bear.
Of course.
Came and picked me up at the train station, so I didn't have to navigate that system to find them. And then when I came back on Sunday, Connie graciously got up even earlier than she normally does to help me find the train station again and be in the right place. So it's all good. Great host, great time, great company.
And what else have you learned about Porto then on this visit?
I'm trying to think what I learned. I already knew I'm generally not a big city kind of person. It's too compact. I believe that I have some empathic qualities, so I pick up energy from people. And if there's a bunch of them packed together, I can manage it for a while, but then I really have to work on not being overwhelmed, and then I get exhausted. So I did not have that experience in Porto, because I was mostly focused on the people I was with as opposed to the environment around me. But there's definitely, I haven't been around that much of Lisboa, but most of where I've been has been the more modern business areas. And in Porto, I didn't see anything that really looked like that. I saw old buildings, old churches, old steeples, old architecture. So that was one thing I noticed that was different. I'm going to say generally it felt less crowded. I mean, it was busy, but I don't know what that's about. Maybe because when I'm in Lisboa, I'm mostly on public transportation going where I need to go, and it always seems very crowded. So I don't know that that's a difference. And of course, the weather is just dependent on the time of the year. I'd have to be there a long time, but it was mostly sunny skies, and the temperature dropped, I think, pretty much everywhere, at least from Lisboa north and possibly even south, significantly this weekend. It dropped from averaging around 18, 19 to 10 and 11. It's like, whoa, okay, that's chilly.
Yes.
So it was
there for the people rather than the place, by the sound of it.
Absolutely, yeah. And I mean, I'm always interested in the place, and going up. On the train, I was able to look. I was on the west side of the train, so I was able to look at what we were passing on the ocean side of the tracks. And so, as we approached Porto, I saw some of the smaller cities or villas as we went up, and I said, "Oh, those," because I could look down the street. It was a straight street to the ocean, so I could see the ocean from the train through the street of the buildings. And the
Beautiful.
architecture, the structures are very different than what I'm familiar with in Ericeira.
Okay.
They homes with sort of steeple corners and facades that are carved and things that I don't see so much in Ericeira. So that caught my eye. I think the buildings.
That's on
were
public
much-
transport. Is there much to say about that? Because I was singing the praises of traveling by bus from San Martino to Porto to Lisbon and then back down to the Algarve for Frank. And that is 18 euros. He's there in, I think, 5 hours or so. And it's quicker than the train. The train doesn't really work in San Martino de Porto as fast as that, or as good economy as that, I think. How was your train journey going from Ericeira up to Porto?
It was great. I learned a lot about a lot more about the train because I had taken it once to San Martino de Porto. It worked fine for me, and it on the train was actually only about I don't know, an hour and 10 minutes from Lisboa. So once I got to Lisboa, it only took just over an hour. So I didn't find that cumbersome. Although the trains, I think they've relegated those sort of off routes for the old metro cars or something. It was not it was not your long distance train system. And my plan going up to Porto was I had set up my transportation to arrive 50 or 55 minutes early, because first of all, I don't like being in a panic, being on time. And I wanted to give myself time because I know I would be leaving too early, to have a coffee and relax and then go kind of explore the platform, walk down the train, look in the windows to see, what was inside each car, that kind of thing. And because of one very small but very significant road construction going on in what looked to be a major artery of Lisboa, traffic was backed up bumper to bumper for about 10 kilometers. So my bus took nearly 30 minutes longer to get where I needed to be. And then I had not estimated the time on the metro to get to the Orient station. So I arrived at the Orient station at 5 minutes after 9, and my train was scheduled to leave at 9 minutes after 9.
Right, run.
Yes. So I was like, and then I started all the things I've learned, like follow the people, and because I was like, oh, where do I go? Where do I go? And I saw people running. I said, well, if they're running, they're probably late for the train too. I better follow them. And then I said, oh, there's screen monitors up there. And I looked up at it, and it said, Porto 909. And I said, well, that's me. What's that? That's okay. So these are the stairs I take. I just ran up, the door was open, jumped on the train, and they left a few minutes late. But I do not like arriving like that. I mean, I got on there in the last minute, and I had no time to have a coffee, no time to do anything but jump on the train, so I didn't miss it. So I hadn't located like where the dining car was. Hadn't taken a peek in first class to see how that was different than the section I was in, because I went up AP, not particularly because that was my choice. It's just it was the only train that was leaving at the time that I needed to leave to be where I wanted to go. So it just worked out that way. So I got an AP train up, and then I forget what they call just the normal train back, and learned the differences. And on the way back, I was able to take my time. I got there early, so I looked inside the first class cars, and I looked into this, okay, and I walked through the dining car to kind of get a sense of that. And so I got a much better sense of it. And what I realized is I think the cars, in terms of AP, and I'll just call it normal because I keep forgetting what the letters are, the cars are the same, which makes sense. There's no difference whatsoever in the actual ride. The seats are the same in both. It's not like, ooh, they're even more luxury in the AP because it's a more expensive ride. So that was good education for me. The first class was, maybe the seats were a little bit wider and they looked like they were black leather, so maybe a little softer. But the seats in the second class were identical to the second class seats in the train back, which wasn't AP. So I believe, and I can't state this for fact, but I believe the only difference is the engine, because it goes faster. Yeah, we got up to we exceeded 240 kgh heading up. So,
Amazing.
man, I've never been on land moving this fast ever.
Hold on a minute. Is that kilograms per hour?
Oh, I meant km. Sorry. Still working on my metrics. Yes.
240 kilograms per hour sounds really fast.
That's right, man. I was putting on the weight, getting heavier. Well, Einstein didn't tell you. He said not only do you not age as fast when you accelerate, but you're gaining weight at a faster rate. He didn't tell you that.
No, it's so true. Be careful of that, everybody, when you're traveling on Portuguese. Thank you for that traveling tip there, James. Well, that sounds wonderful. So, yeah, I love the AP trains. And I think the other one is the IC, isn't it? Intercity and Alpha Pendulum.
That could be it.
Yeah. So,
and
sounds like a good journey.
The AP would really be an advantage if you had a straight shot from Porto to Algarve.
Yes.
And you didn't have to go through cities and you didn't have to stop for anybody, because then they could probably get up to 300 or more and just sail the entire way. So if the AP didn't have, they only stopped, I think, maybe 4 or 5 times versus 10 or 12. But going through every city that they went through, because traffic has to cross the tracks, they have to go at 20 kmh. So you're like petit for 10 kilometers, then it goes boo, and it accelerates again because it's got some distance, and then it stops, and then it so in the end it takes about 25 minutes more if you're not on the AP between Lisboa and Porto. There's not a huge significant time difference based on the speed. Going up on the AP was almost exactly 3 hours.
Perfect.
Coming back on the IC, it was 3 hours and 20 or 25 minutes.
And you get to see a lot of the country, as you said, little views downstream to the sea. How lovely. How lovely.
And being someone who enjoys, birding, I like to look at birds, and having the opportunity to be on a whole new continent across a huge ocean. There's potential new species. I'd never seen a live stork before. I've seen them on videos. But I'm on the AP heading north. I'm going, what's that? Okay, it's black and white. It's like, what's the tail look like? So it was just too fast. I had to get one piece at a time. But fortunately, they were in the farmlands as we progressed. We get several looks.
You have a Twitchers group. We've not thought of that. A Gumpers Twitchers group. There's many great opportunities for bird watching here in Portugal, of course. Seabirds and inland as well. Fantastic. Flamingos even in this wonderful country. There you go. Eversoish. What does that mean? Is that migration, Eversoish?
No, I think that's I forget what it was. It has nothing to do with birds, but the primary article was observing the birds specifically in the Mafra area. So it's all in Portuguese. I haven't translated or attempted to read a 5 or 6 page article in Portuguese yet.
Okay, bonus.
So I'll work on that.
Improve your Portuguese whilst bird watching. Fantastic.
Yes, and online I've only been able to find stuff from the Algarve, so I haven't done intensive research, but I keep being told, oh no, you can find birding groups everywhere. So far, I haven't been so successful, but
okay, well, we'll see.
Again, I haven't invested a lot of time trying to do that at this point.
Okay, well, thank you for being here. Sounds like you had a lovely weekend in Porto, and of course, Connie is here this morning. Good morning to you, Connie.
Hi, Connie. Thank you again.
Let's see what people are saying this morning. We may have questions about train travel or migration. He's listening. When is old age is the first question from Nigel Henry, because I was talking about retirement and old age this morning.
I have some thoughts on that, by the way. So,
all right, we'll come back to that then.
Yes.
When does old age start? That's a very good question for this morning. You're as old as the person you feel, but do ask for permission. She is 64. Well done, Nigel.
Okay, in that context, that went a whole different direction than I was anticipating.
My grandfather always said the middle age is always 10 years down the road. I agree fully. Age is a state of mind. Bob and Viv, I'm sure, will be able to say that themselves when they arrive here a little bit later on this morning. Hammer that like button, says T Duck this morning. Thank you. Antonio F is in. Morning, Antonio. Great to see you. and calling a nom de pluminia. That's very nice, isn't it? I think because of this show, says she stays up till 4 a.m. Are you a vampire? Asked Pete. Mrs. B is addicted to the camp romp interview with a vampire TV series. Well worth a watch. Not sure. Don't know what that one is. Oh, Egg and Spoon sack race for dads. They do, but I'm not taking part. Just going in for his races for the lad. Glad they sent a schedule. Well, good luck anyway there, Francis. Attended the Americans in the Algarve Thanksgiving luncheon in Lagos yesterday. 150 plus people. Lovely party. Wow, that is a big one. And saved till Sunday. Was that because of the football? Possibly, I wonder, or just maybe a better idea to do it at the weekend anyway for all sorts of reasons. Bon Diallo comes from Matty as well. €5 for a bowl of soup at that event and a bag. Soup in a bag, is that? And 3 soup tokens. Chestnut and mushroom was to die for. Oh, that does sound very autumnal and lovely. And T-Duck really liked that video, so thanks, Diane. That was awesome. I love me some horns. Who doesn't like a horn first thing in the morning? Indeed. In the UK, they would have gone health and safety mad. That soup festival was organised by a teenager this year. It's just such an awesome community. 15 soups to choose from, and then a super soup at the end. Is it like a pastel de nata flavoured soup for dessert?
Did it have a cape?
Superhero.
Super soup. Da, da, da.
Just when you're feeling hungry, super right. All the Antonis from Jess. Hey Jess, lovely to have you here.
Jess.
Played a selection of club classics. Yes, we love that. If you got any more of that, Pete, we'll gladly take it. Gumper Map, is that the one where you put on events? There is a biker Christmas party on the 4th in Portugal with wild boar on a spit. It is indeed. Let me just bring it onto the screen for you now, Matty. And Sarah, so you can see this as well, how brilliantly your map is developing at the hands of the Gumpers. Look at that, all those events on there. That's superb. So yes, Matty, quite a lot in Central, your neck of the woods there, thanks to Andy. But I'm thinking where's that? Porto de Mosh is a little bit further south there. So yes, we definitely could do with that. Porto de Mosh right there, where I don't know if you're seeing that on your screen, but just to the right of those 2 points of interest there. Oh, they're actually meetups. That's our meetup on a Wednesday and the Alcobaster meetup as well. So do stick that on there. Let me give you the link to that so that you can do that for yourself. Please do, Matty. That'd be wonderful. That sounds like a good fun event. If you're a biker or like wild boar on a spit. Only slight drawback, apparently, with the Soup Festival was that you did feel like Oliver Twist wandering around asking various people to fill your bowl. Yes, can I have some more, please, sir? In Portugal. Mais, senor. There's Benson. How is Portimao this morning? And America number 1, I think, responding to what you said there about the sense of supremacy and greatness.
I call it American arrogance, which I also call redundant. So,
to be fair, though, there are many great things that America can rightly be proud of.
Yes, but the arrogance is one of the things that just rubbed me the wrong way.
Who doesn't like? No, you don't like being rubbed up the wrong way first thing in the morning. Clearly, I don't know why somebody's shouting out BART at all, or even
Bay Area Rapid Transit.
Oh, there you go. That's the BART.
The metro in the San Francisco area, yes.
All right. Raf's had a nice weekend. Morning, Raphael. Good to have you to join us. It's a great laid-back weekend. I'm loving the titles of your YouTube. Stick the link in there to your YouTube channel for anyone who might not be aware of it, Raphael. Unlikely, but could happen that they're not aware of your YouTube channel. Stick the link in the chat, mate, so that people do know what's going on there. Because you've been coming up with some spicy titles, I have to say, recently. James, possibly Porto seems older as it didn't have a devastating earthquake. Yeah, possibly.
Yes, that could have a lot to do with it. Yes.
The Lisbon earthquake happened 6 years before Portugal abolished slavery. Are they related? I wonder. And okay, Francis, good luck. Tamanya from you. And how many pounds per hour is that? That's nearly 500. Nearly 500 pounds per hour. AP trains that I've taken felt more modern, but the normal trains that run the same service or similar, but with wider seats in Raphael's experience, kilograms per hour. Sounds like one great Francisine. It does.
Absolutely.
Big difference between AP and the Intercidade or IC or normal train is that you can bring your bikes on IC2 second class. It's wonderful. So maybe not the room on the AP for the bikes then. Good morning, people from Lee. We'll see him at 6:15 tonight on the gardening Q&A. Thanks, Lee, for being there and doing that every week. You're a legend, mate. Storks are confused by the weather this year. Talking of bird spotting, our Storks Nest has had a few visitors far too early in the season. Bless them. Carl, Eversoish is evasions.
There
Ooh,
it
why?
is. Yeah.
Reading a magazine about evasions there. Thank you, Antonio. I love the bird life here too. So many. I think we could have a Twitchers group at this rate, and so many different raptors as well. Love that tune by Blondie. Morning, Mr. McGrady. Eve is looking extremely cute at the moment. I thought that she's beautiful, your daughter, Lee. Lovely pictures on Facebook. And I've been in America. Is there a beautiful little daughter report, Lee? Yes, there is. There is. She's an absolute beauty. And not Evacuosoish, Evasoish, I think there. Okay. Is it Escapes magazine? Oh, because Evacuosoish are bowel movements.
Yes.
Aren't we glad we started this discussion so that you don't get into an awkward situation in a conversation with somebody today?
Yeah, because I use Eversoish so much in my day-to-day language.
And Evacuosoish? I wonder.
Even less.
Okay,
even less.
Always a pleasure, Matty. And bon dia, Carl from Kate. Morning, Kate. Great to see you yesterday. Thank you, Carl. What can I say? I'm Latin. I like spice. Yeah, I think your titles at the moment on your videos are fantastic and some great subjects. Not just clickbait. I hasten to add some big issues that I think Portugal is addressing at the moment. It would be interesting to compare prices. €1 for draft beer, 1/3 of a bottle of wine, or shot. With the shots, if you buy 15, you get a hat. We will have to get one. Sounds like Pete's already been drinking shots this morning. I don't quite know what he's saying there, but apart from that, he's experienced some good value, I suspect.
And maybe that you get a hat once you get really drunk. I don't know.
You do.
Here, have a hat.
Have a hat.
Well done.
Thank you very much. So, James, any migration reflections since going to Porto or in this last week for you?
Well, follow up a little bit about language, because I when you talked about, what do you say when you get attacked by a dog, and you came up with a few things, and I was trying to remember what Sidonio says. I don't know if it's standard nationwide, but he says "uy, uy." Sometimes it's like, oh, that's like, I don't agree with it. And sometimes it's like, oh, that's gross. There's a lot of uses for "uy." But, I'm sure if I witnessed him getting attacked by a dog, I'd be like, "Uy, uy, uy," like that. It's, all right. So "uy," that's one I've learned from him. I don't know. Maybe Antonio could help me to know if that is a generalized thing or a very specific thing to the person that I live with. But I wanted to share that. And then I did watch the U.S. The first U.S. match with with Wales. That's what it was. Yes. And so I have a little anecdote about that. But first I want to say, because it came up on one of the shows last week, I think, the whole, how do you pronounce Worcestershire sauce, right? And the response was Worcester. And I said, okay, so the Brits can't get mad at the Portuguese on that one. Is because, Worcester is kind of like, and this is where it comes back to the football. I heard the announcer several times go, Stachunic, Stachunic, Stachunic. And I'm going, Stachunic? Is that Estados Unidos? Is that Estados Unidos? It's like, and then so I thought, okay, I thought I was hearing it wrong or saying it wrong, and I was making a joke about it to one of the people who was walking through the living room who wasn't watching with us. And I said, her name's Sophia. She said, are you watching football or something like that? And I said, "Sí, Estados Unidos." And I thought it was a joke. I go, "Ah." And she goes, "Oh, okay." And then continued on. And then I went, "Oh, so that's a real thing. Estados Unidos, Worcester, Worcestershire, Estados Unidos." It's like, cram the words together.
So that's really useful, isn't it, for people? So Stadonic is how
just Estados Unidos is what I heard. Now, I don't know that would be considered proper Portuguese, but it's been a tongue twister for me to say "Sou dos Estados Unidos" to get the stis and dis, and it's like, but if I could just say "Sou dos Estados Unidos," it's like, okay, I can do that.
Yeah.
So okay. I'll need a little bit of coaching on the proper pronunciation of that, but if I can get away with Estados Unidos, it's much easier than Estados Unidos.
But a great example of the phenomenon of eating words, and as Philomena pointed out to us a long time ago, Portuguese love eating. They even eat their words.
Yes, yes.
There's a good example of it. Estado nici, Estados
Estado
Unidos.
Unidos. Yes,
There you go.
Estado Unidos.
Good to know. Thank you very much for that. We'll have the Bob and the Viv joining us soon. It might be we might be talking about too much time together. I don't know if that's an issue for them. A new focus like volunteering, avoiding things that are old hat or old job related. That's interesting, isn't it? And I notice this is about Americans. I have to say, James, I'll come back to that in just a moment. But biting off more project or house or garden than you might have wanted. Yes, Americans tend to ask, don't they? What do you do in life, don't they? When you meet up with Americans, what do you do? And then when you're retired, the question becomes, what did you used to do? Do you find yourself in those sorts of conversations with people? And how do you approach it?
I'm not sure I'm not sure that I know the profession of anyone that I know in Portugal.
Interesting.
Well, wait, that's not true. I know João because we have spent time together, and he's just talked about what he was doing on the job. And I said, "Oh, so what is it that you do?" So I discovered that. And someone else asked Antonio that question on the forum, and so I found out that way. But people say, "How do you know that?" To me, and often it's related to what I was doing for work at the time. So then it gets related that way. But I haven't had anyone say, "What do you do for a living?" But then again, it comes up in conversation as you get to know people anyway.
Yeah.
I was working with one of my clients today, and So, "Oh, so what do you do? You work with clients, like that." But it's not like the first question. "Hey, how you doing?" "Yeah." Okay. That's what do you say after you say hello in America anyway? Almost
It
always.
is.
So what do you?
Yeah, it seems very much a part of American life and conversation. It's fine to ask that, isn't it? But I don't think it's so much a thing here.
Yeah, and part of it's interesting because I have ideas that I've said before. I kind of lay out in case there's something that we're not talking about. It's like, oh, I can bring this up. And one that was close to the top today was retirement in regard to Portugal and the differences between men and women and all of that stuff. So I've definitely spent some time thinking about that concept of doing versus being, the value of it, and the stereotypes anyway of the differences between men and women and how they value their place on the planet. And men tend to value based on what they do, and women tend to value based on what the priority is, relationships.
Yes.
So it's different. They're going to want to talk more about family and friends, and men are going to want to talk generally more about their work and the things that they do, their hobbies, things like that. So
okay, interesting distinction between the cultures there. We have Bob and Viv, and Helen's joined us already. Helen will come on in a few minutes' time to talk about the language nomads, which I think will be of interest to all of us here. It might even be worth becoming a digital nomad just to learn Portuguese in this particular exciting way that Helen's talking about. But look, a round of applause for the Bob and the Viv on the screen.
Hey. Good morning.
Hello, you two. How are you?
Can you hear us okay?
Good morning, caller. I'm listening.
So if you have any questions for the Fraser of migration, go ahead. You've got some beautiful ideas that we might talk about this morning, Bob and Viv, as well, before we come to Helen, just popped in to tell us about language nomads. But too much time together, that's an interesting one for couples, isn't it? New focus like volunteering, avoiding things that are old hat or old job related, which you touched on briefly there with James. What do you do? Or what did you used to do? And biting off more project. Me and Mrs. M are dealing with this for sure at the moment. Biting off more project or house or garden or whatever than you wanted to do. I'm intrigued by this too much time together thing. May I ask, is that a little bit sort of from personal experience, and how does that get managed?
Yes, actually, it is personal experience.
Viv, good morning. How do you manage that?
Good morning. Well, in the States, Bob worked 12-hour days, so I was alone a lot, and it was fine. We were secluded. It was a beautiful place. I had animals. It was fine. And then when we came, we faced not only a new country, new everything, also retirement. So we were together 24/7. And that's all we wanted when we left Colorado was more time together. And we got it in spades. So,
And
6 months in, it started, like maybe we spent a little time apart so we could miss each other a little bit. And then finally, I don't know, about 3 months ago, I said, honey, I love you, but you got to get a hobby besides me.
brilliant. I love it, the frankness of this.
I was the helicopter husband.
Yes.
Instead of I don't know, Carl, if you've heard of helicopter parents.
Yeah, they just hover overhead,
Yes. Yeah.
So I was kind of a helicopter husband, and it's just, and we've talked about this a little before with some of the group that I never ever thought I'd ever have anybody in my life significant like Viv, somebody to love. So I just didn't think that was going to happen. So once I got it, I may have hovered a little too much.
Oh, bless you. Bless you. You've hit the ground running this morning with your vulnerability and openness. And I think that's what we love about your videos, which as we'll find out this morning, you're going to be producing more of your own videos, but loving this so far. And I suspect, James, you're enjoying the frankness and openness of how they communicate with each other, or how it sounds like they have done on this matter.
Oh, absolutely. It's right in my lane. It's the work I do. It's couples work like all the time. So especially around retirement. And again, the value, men tend to feel they have value when they're doing something. So they don't have something to do, then they can get lost. Where women, if they're missing anything by immigrating elsewhere, is they're missing family, they're missing friends, they're missing relationships. Where the men, if they've retired in the old sense of the word, they're missing the work, they're missing the job, they're missing having something to do. And those are the adjustments that need to be made in the relationship when infatuation vacation is over 6 weeks in.
Well, ours was a whole lot longer than 6 weeks, and it's not over by any means. It did take a little communication. I tend to be rather high energy,
and I'm not always. I can sit and be. If it was an Olympic sport, I'd get a gold medal every time for just being.
I'd probably get the silver then.
Yeah. And Bob is constantly doing something, so I didn't need time away from him so much as his energy, and just let me sit down and do nothing for a little while. And it worked out. He was very good about it. He didn't, he knew, and it's worked out beautifully.
Oh yeah.
And he's not gone that much. It's just time enough for me to sit and be, and then welcome him home because I missed him.
Excuse me, Carl.
No, bless you. I was just thinking this is wonderful. This is a real gift to people, because it might be on somebody's mind in the way it was on yours there, Viv, but you decided to say something about it, and that's not what everybody might do. People might feel awkward or bad about saying something like that, but it does sound like it is the right thing to do, possibly to actually have it out and have that kind of conversation. What was that like for you, Bob, to hear that?
A little bit of a surprise at first, but I could tell in some of the activities that, well, I don't know. She always had a really great attitude. And sometimes, like the late night things, she was pulling me out to those because she's much more of a late person than I am, because of the life I had. And James, to your point, I didn't identify so much with the work that I missed that. In fact, I've thoroughly enjoyed not being relegated, but I also am one that works better personally with some routine, and so I'm constantly kind of adjusting, particularly my morning routine, which is fine for Viv because she sleeps in longer than I do. She's up later, sleeps in longer. That all works.
Seems to be working for Hank and Connie too. So
good. That's good. The only thing is, I have never had hobbies, so to speak.
Interesting.
Didn't have time. You were working 12 hours a day. Who's got time for a hobby?
Well,
his
and
whole life,
yeah.
he grew up on a farm. He worked
Yeah,
more
yeah.
than 12 hours a day sometimes.
yeah, from the time I was a little kid. So I have learned to be, and I don't have trouble just stopping. I still struggle with watching TV. She'd much rather watch a movie than me, and I'm working on it. But one of the interesting things we've run across, like with some other folks, like over Thanksgiving, I think for us, it's definitely different because we've only been together for our first date was almost 5 years ago here. And so we haven't been together that long. And some people that have 30 years, there's definitely a different dynamic in the shift. So it varies, I think, with not only who you are, but what your experiences together have been.
Yeah. This is wonderful.
Absolutely,
Thank
yeah.
you so much for your hitting the ground running with your honesty, openness, and vulnerability. That's what we love about you, Bob and Viv, and of course you, James, as well. This is the tone and atmosphere we love to have on the Good Morning Portugal show. Let's, for a moment, this might be a hobby for you, Bob, to go and learn Portuguese in an intensive way with our next guest for a moment. Big round of applause for Helen. Yes, well done, everybody. Yes.
Thank you.
Helen,
Morning.
you deserve every one of those claps.
That's a nice way to start the week.
Well, you have a lovely idea to share with us, and that would be the language nomads, where Bob and all of us might be interested in this, because I think it's such a lovely idea. There are many ways to learn Portuguese and many excuses not to learn Portuguese. You're providing a really cool solution, I think. Could you tell us more about it?
Yeah, definitely. So I'm setting up some retreats for next year for digital nomads or remote workers or anyone, actually. I started off thinking, digital nomads, but now I'm thinking anyone's welcome, really. So yeah, probably for sort of 3 to 4 week retreats where you have language classes with local teachers and events and activities with the local community. So it's really to integrate a bit more into the local community. That's my aim.
And the key is immersion and intensity, presumably, with this.
Yeah, exactly. So it would be like 1-to-1 classes, probably.
Yeah.
Or maybe in twos, with local teachers, sort of 3 hours a day, Monday to Friday.
Right.
So hardcore.
Yes, hardcore for sure. And but other cultural insight as well, I'm guessing. So if you're together, you're learning with other people in a similar condition and a similar aspiration. You're going to be it sounds like you're handpicking these locations, so people are going to have a cultural immersion and get a great sense of Portugal.
Yeah.
What's on the agenda so far as far as venues and locations go?
So I've been talking with an association called Aldeias de Montanha. I don't know if you know it. It's in Serra da Estrela.
Yes, well done.
Thank you. And so they've built some co-working spaces in the mountains, and they have lovely houses to rent around there. Right. So yeah, so that's probably going to be the first venue, probably in about May.
Okay, and it is 4 weeks, is it? It's 4 weeks long that you
3 or 4 weeks, because I thought people could carry on with their usual jobs.
Gotcha.
Working in co-working spaces.
Yes.
But I'll see how that goes. I'll see how that appeals to people, because it might be a bit of a chunk out of people's lives. So I'm in the experimentation stage at the moment.
Well, that's great, because there may be an application for a sort of Gumper camp for Good Morning Portugal community who might want to go away for a week or two. In this sort of situation. But I do get it. I mean, if you're a digital nomad, you could be anywhere, and why not have half your day working like you normally do and the other half learning Portuguese? It sounds like a great idea.
Yeah, exactly. And then doing some activities with the community, like getting involved with their local traditions, handicrafts or whatever. cheese making, bread making. Just some fun stuff.
And how did this come to you? What's your connection with Portugal and teaching Portuguese?
So, well, I'm a translator, so I've got a background in languages,
Right.
and I'm a digital nomad. Well, I've been a digital nomad for about 12 years, but now I'm settling in Portugal. Just got my residency here, so yeah,
Cool.
I'm gonna stick around.
Parabéns.
So, yeah.
12
and
years.
I noticed 12 years, yeah.
This digital nomad concept, I mean, the visa itself is like a fairly recent thing for Portugal. Portugal really embracing the digital nomad. 12
Yeah.
years ago, though, I mean, you were quite an unusual person to be living that kind of lifestyle, right?
I was, yeah. It was really hard to explain to people what I was doing. People would be saying, "Why are you doing that now on holiday? Why are you working on holiday?" And I'd be trying to explain, "I'm not on holiday. This is home. This now." Yeah.
Incredible.
Yeah.
And from the UK, am I getting a bit of a Liverpudlian accent possibly there?
That's right. Yeah.
Okay. Yep. Okay. All right. Worcestershire sauce, no, not a problem at all. Not that that's anywhere near Liverpool. And are you open if the Gumpers here have got an interesting venue? Would you be open to invitations to go and teach and be based in interesting locations?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay. And is there anything else we can do to help you as the Gumper community here?
I don't know. What have you got to offer?
We're a very resourceful community and very open-hearted and vulnerable, as you've already heard. So it might be that there could be, a little bit of pastoral coaching from the team here that you see with you on the screen this morning. But that sounds like an entirely attractive way of life, to be a digital nomad and be working all around the world, especially somewhere as lovely as Portugal, and that's clearly what's happening. What are the downsides of digital nomadery, if they can call it that?
I like that. I think probably loneliness at times. Like if you keep moving around a lot, then you don't leave yourself enough time to build connections. I think that's the big one, loneliness, and just kind of always making friends, which is fine, but having to start from scratch all the time.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
All right. Well, do join us in the mornings. We were very happy to be a virtual community for any digital nomad around the world. And thank you for coming and telling us about it. We've got on the screen then, we have, let me just go back to your homepage. This is where we're going, thelanguagenomads.com. Let's bust through the language barrier together is what you're saying. And you may well be, where's this one? Is this Monsanto?
I don't actually know where it is. I just wanted a Portuguese village picture.
Yeah, okay. Well,
I can't remember the name.
Co-live and co-work in fabulous locations and embrace all things lingo. And that just sounds like a wonderful idea. And I would love to talk to you about the possible adaptation of that for the Gumper community. An immersive and intensive residential of maybe a week, I think.
That would be really fun. Yeah.
Superb. Okay. Well, thank you very much for joining us this morning.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Good luck with it from Beverly and Helen Nom de Plume Sarah in America is telling you as well that they're an interpreter. So do stay in touch with our community if you will. All the best to you.
I will do. Thank you.
Right. Good job.
Bye. Bye.
Fantastic. I'm so sorry. It's such a devastating click of a button and people just disappear from the screen. But I don't know of a better way to do it. And I'll be doing it to all of you at some point this morning. Okay. Look at this. We are getting some feedback from the theme that you're talking about. And friend Kate's here as well. Every time Bob visit, Bob finds an essential job to help him visit. Yes. Being able to relax, possibly there. Paul and Sue, how's that going with spending a lot of time together? Greetings from Alvor, says Paul. Another sunny day in the Algarve. Her, who must be obeyed, is getting my what-to-do list this morning. Would you recommend that, Viv, as a way of approaching it? Creating a list for the gentleman of the house or the busy one and sending it, dispatching them off with a load of jobs to do?
No, I don't. He does plenty, and he'll do the jobs on his own.
Yes.
It's just I wanted him to go have some fun, relax, do something he likes. So he got a bicycle and he likes biking. So he's been doing that. And then something happened to the bike. So he's on foot again.
Well, and it started raining.
So kind of kicked the head, but yeah, he'll get back to that. And he needs some rest and relaxation as
Yeah.
well. And like I said, the to-do jobs, he knows how they have to be done and he does them. So
Yes.
I
Okay.
don't have to nag. Yeah.
Sounds like it works for Paul. I would have presumed during COVID, lots of couples would have spent more time together. But we have worked together for 8 years, and there was a job to be done on the farm. Usually 8 jobs to be done on the farm. Yes, I think you appreciate that, Bob. Jobs on the farm there. We've got the wonderful John with us, maybe Pam as well. We've got a question that would apply for you, Bob and Viv, and John and Pam there. I hear Coloradans. Is that how you describe yourselves? Coloradans end up in Ponte Lima. It is a phenomenon that we've noticed and tracked. Is it a bit more affordable? Yeah, it's a funny thing, isn't it? It must be vibrational and energetic. Is it a bit more affordable there than the rest of the country? Would you?
Oh, it's definitely more affordable than the cities. Lisbon and Porto, we didn't want to do it even if we could, but yes, it is much more affordable, but it's going up. It's not as affordable as it used to be.
Okay.
The big thing I feel here for our friends that we're meeting from Colorado, some from very near where we actually lived, is that you have the advantage of the mountains. And in Colorado, people, when we talk about in feet a 14er, or it's like a 4,200 meter mountain, but you're starting out at 2,500 meters. So you have a 2,000 meter rise. We have that here in the north of Portugal. In 40 minutes, we can be in the high mountains. A lot of the roads we travel here, as a truck driver from the mountains, remind me of home, because you got a mountain on one side and a drop off on the other and no guardrail. And I drove that all the time. So it's easy to feel at home here, but the ground doesn't freeze, and I love it.
What a wonderful upgrade. Superb. You are being asked about what hobbies you are doing now, Bob. We heard about the bicycle, and you've already answered that. You've been busy. You are very active and busy. You've been answering questions while we've been talking as well. I see what you mean, Viv. But what other anything else that you're doing now, Bob, that you might recommend to other people?
Well, I can identify with those that have gotten a bigger place than they anticipated.
Yes.
We love our home, but there is yard to take care of, not a lot.
Yeah.
But when you're used to, in the last 21 years, I'd mow lawn a couple times a summer because of how dry.
Generally, we just let the horses out, let them eat it, and then they go back.
Yeah.
So they were our lawnmowers.
And
goats
so now,
and horses, great lawnmowers.
Oh
Yeah, they
yeah. And so now, there are things, well, I need to do this, I need to do that, I need to catch up on the lawn. And Owen is still here, and he's helped with that as well. But there's no lack of things to do, and particularly for James here, the biggest thing for me is drawing a focus or routine, getting things done in a timely manner.
Yeah.
But part of that is like when I worked 2 weeks away and 2 weeks home, part of the time I was in Colorado, same thing. I'd think, oh, I got all kinds of time. I can do this whenever I want, but then it doesn't get done. So there definitely are some adjustments.
We're still trying to find a balance between my free-spirited do whatever I'm in the mood for, and his routine, because he's got to have some routine.
Yeah.
And I don't like routine for whatever reason, but I'm learning. I will pin it down a routine.
But it sounds like the key to that is being James, help me out here. But I mean, being open to getting your own needs met, and then the articulation of those things to the other person. This sounds really, although not easy, really healthy.
It's not easy. It's crucial, I think. I don't know how else you deal with it besides letting all this resentment build up, and then you blow up. So
well, what's really effective, and with couples that I work with, is learning to talk about yourself. That becomes much less inflamed, much less likely to break into some kind of argument. Just talk about me, my needs, my experience, how I'm feeling. If I do that, then I'm not challenging you to then defend yourself or attack me. So that conversation becomes a little easier. Say, I'm feeling a bit crowded. For Viv with Bob, I'm feeling a bit like, and I'd like to figure out a way to create a little more space. Yeah. Not all the time, that kind of thing. And so when you're talking about yourself, then, Bob might hear, oh, she thinks I'm too much, but that's on him. That's not what she said. Right. So then Bob gets to do his work around that. But then he can say, well, I'm feeling like, oh, maybe I'm doing it wrong. No, I'm not. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying that for me personally, I could use a little more space. And then Bob's like, oh, I could do that. I could create a little more space. So it's just easier that way rather than saying you are crowding me too much. You are doing this. Then it's like, oh, no, I'm not. Or what's wrong with that? Or, oh God, I'm such a, whatever.
Yeah, I'd say that's exactly how we approached it.
We did. It was all about me. It's like, I didn't say,
Yep.
You're awful. Get away from me for a while.
Oh yeah.
It's not me. I need some time. I just need some time to do nothing, or to watch a movie, or anything. I read a lot, so I get down and read my book. So it just
perfect. All right, Jim works with us this morning. Bon dia todos. And Jim's saying, Jim understands, I think a thing or two about these matters. The routine idea, it's like a dance moving back and forth between the different energies. The challenge is not to beat ourselves up when we're in between. So that's important as well, isn't it? Because I think stakes are higher.
Or to get stuck to it. If you're stuck to a routine, then it impedes you. Because then you don't allow for free time. You don't allow for spontaneity. It's like, oh, this is off my routine. I got to do this. And then it gets too rigid. So finding that flexibility in that dance to move in and out of routine and spontaneity is quite a fun dance to practice.
Well, we have a premature climax on a Monday. We finish a little bit early, but I'm sure that's going to be leaving people wanting more of you, Bob and Viv. James, you will, of course, be back on Monday, next Monday, every Monday with Migration Monday. He is our Frasier of the migration world and concept. And Bob and Viv, if people want more of you, look, I'm putting onto the screen now your new YouTube channel, which because of YouTube handles, you can have at Bob and Viv. The ideas of spending too much time together, the new focus like volunteering, avoiding things that are old hat or old job related, and of course biting off more than you can chew. Me and Mrs. M, if you do something about this, me and Mrs. M will certainly watch it. This is your new YouTube channel. What can you tell us about what's going to be happening here in the next little while?
Well, learning how to post to YouTube. So there's no time.
We're getting a whole education here.
Fantastic. Okay, but people should subscribe.
They should.
This is where your new work will emerge. This is where your new work
it will come, and we're exploring all kinds of things and helping people see. I actually was able to put a description in the channel, and helping people see what Portugal is like. Down the road, we're very seriously looking at developing a tour from north to south for those that are thinking about Portugal, so that they can get an overview of the country and then rent a car and go back to wherever they want to explore more. So we're going to be putting a lot of things on the channel, I think, and it's just a matter, like I say, now I got to learn how to upload. So it'll come.
We'll get that sorted out. Are you available to turn up at people's houses in the way that Kate enjoys here? I love the mix that Bob and Viv bring every visit. So are you available as house guests as well?
Actually, yes. Bob.
Okay, brilliant. That works for Viv. All right.
That's been part of the volunteering thing.
Yeah. It's always for another person. He's helped move people. He's helped with the grape harvest. He's helped with all sorts of things. We're going to go farm set in a couple of weeks and take care of pigs and sheep and goats and the dog, and that'll be great. It'll be fun for me and work for him. So that seems to be the perfect balance. Fun for me and work for him. So.
Wonderful. Okay, You are looking at residents for Migration Monday here on the screen. Every fourth Monday, Bob and Viv will be back with us with an update on the YouTube channel. And of course, every single Monday of every single week. That's your man. Well, we've had 5, have we not this week? Or is that the 5th Tuesday and Wednesday coming up this week? But certainly every Monday, James is with us. And we're very grateful to you, Mr. Slug, for that as well. Have a beautiful, I've got a couple of, is it a double rainbow? It's certainly a lovely big rainbow at the bottom of Pete and Diane's garden to send us all off into a brand new week this week. Thank you so much. Cheers, James. Thank you very much indeed. And to you, Bob and Viv, whose channel you should subscribe to on the link I will leave up on the screen. Thank you very much as well. So have a super week, have a super day, everybody. Here's a lovely rainbow for you, and we'll see you tomorrow with the amazing Heather Binder. Boots on the ground, Heather Binder is joining me in the studio tomorrow. Thank you so much, the three of you.
Ciao, ciao.
Ciao, ciao. Bye for now.
Wow.